Hello everyone, and welcome to today's social science coffee break. I am Stacy Allen, and I'm joined by my colleague Paul Rombo, and we are both members of the Provincial Service for the Anglophone Community. And it brings us a lot of happiness today to join you and to share with you two resources, one for elementary and one for secondary level. That promotes students' social science competencies alongside of their digital competency. So for today's elementary resource, I wanted to share with you an activity on residential schools and the role of the church in those residential schools. In this activity, it is focused on competency 2 of the Geography, History, and Citizenship Education program, which is looking at change over time of Quebec society between 1905 to 1980. And this activity was, its design was actually aided by Rebecca Gertzen from Central Quebec School Board. And she was a great help in the envisioning of this activity. So this activity, I'll open it up from this link on to Societies and Territories, is for Cycle 3 students. You'll see when you access the link that you can get access to a Google folder that contains the teacher's guide, the student's guide, and additional resources. So I'll open up the student guide for you. So you'll see the main inquiry question, how does the deconfessionalism change First Nations education? After a little document introduction, for example, the keywords, a bit of heads up in terms of what content will be covered. You'll notice that there's an introduction and then documents for students to review. These documents are mostly from for First Nations individuals in Quebec who attended residential schools. So you can see go through there. Some of them have been adapted based on the content and the language levels. So after students analyze the documents, you'll see that they have the choice to create a video or a podcast based on their learning experience. Okay. So for the final project, the podcast or creation, there's a variety of tools you could use. Canva and Clipchamp and Google Vids work great in terms of podcast creation and video creation. For sure, Canva is 13 plus for elementary students without explicit parental permission. So ensure that you're following your board's procedure to have permission for your students to use that if you're wishing to use Canva as a tool. As well, digital posters could be created with Google Slides or PowerPoint or Canva as well. So I hope you enjoy the activity and can't wait to join you for the next coffee break. Paul.
Thank you, Stacy. I'm just going to share my screen and get started with my secondary share. And as you can see now, the resource I'm sharing is related to what Stacy just showed you, in that it's also about confessional schools or residential schools. And what it is it's actually a student page on our history students site, but it includes the videos, a very large document collection, and within those a mapping activity, and there's also another overview activity I want to show you. So here we go. This is the student page. This is actually under construction. What a student page is it's a place for students to come on their own to read some overview texts, to get materials, and as a launching place for teachers as well. Teachers' tools are always at the bottom of the page. So as I mentioned, there is a video that we translated from the Récit Universel on this subject, or related to it. And the goals of the page are to identify when the Indigenous people received the right to vote, the context, also to deal with, well, to explore residential schools and reserve life in general, and and also the collection actually is involved in changes in land and ancestral rights. So as I said, the page is just starting off. There's an introductory image, which many of you probably know, discussing the image, what was going on here, related to power and justice. A difficult image, but filled with information and messages that students can engage with at the beginning of this section. There's some overview texts again, and some activities have been inserted, but not that many right now. There's overviews on the reserve system, residential schools overviews, and so on. And we'll put some images up there shortly. And also, of course, the emotional and personal effects of residential school systems. So the resource itself that I wanted to share, the two resources are, one is a large document collection, which does contain some activities, and another smaller overview task by the RICI Universe Social. So I'll just take you here to the document collection. It's quite long, and as I said, or I may have said that it covers three topics: the right to vote, the residential schools, and land rights. And again, as with all these document collections, you have to look at it. Students need to look at it critically, and trace the source of the document and compare sources on their own. But I'm just going to jump down to the section on residential schools to give you an idea what a document looks like. Often the documents are actually 3 or 4 documents in one on a topic. In this case, it's the Royal Proclamation and what are Indian reserves, and why they were built in the first place. And there's a few other document collections, or sorry, documents. What I wanted to scroll down to was the activity that's mentioned in the beginning of this collection has to do with placing residential schools on a map. And this was a great source. It comes from Quebec Residential Schools, which is down here at the bottom that you can click on to visit. But I put the links directly, and basically these links go to information about individual residential schools, so students can map those schools and research individual schools and collaborate, share what they've discovered about those schools and the experiences people had in them. The tool that's suggested is Cartograph, and throughout the document collection, you'll see actual links to a sample cartograph map and actual locations. So this one is an actual location of the Tuque Residential School. And if I zoom out, this map contains several other residential schools also listed. And of course, if that's the task, you may want to take out those references so that students don't see them already done, or you may want to just show them as samples, and then students can add more information on the cartograph map. And of course, this type of activity can be done with Google My Maps as well, or even Google Earth. So that's the document collection that's based on this page. And I also wanted to show another small activity down below that was developed by the RICI Universe Social, getting students to determine causes and consequences and identify similarities and differences. As with all the collection, all these type of tasks at the bottom, there's different documents. So you've got documents about the situation, the right to vote, residential schools, and so on. So that's, again, it's an overview task. Students are asked questions to establish facts. They use a table to establish more facts and what happened in different situations or conditions and claims and interventions that are represented in the document collection. So there's an overview task at the end that you can use to sum up that sort of section. And that's my share. Basically, a page that contains information, documents, and a couple strategies for using those documents. Thank you very much, and see you at the next coffee break session.